Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and today is going to be the second Q&A on this channel. So let's get started. And before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that this Q&A is going to be probably about a monthly thing. So if there's any questions that you want me to answer in the next Q&A, drop a comment down below and type up your question and I will be sure to answer it in the next Q&A. And before we get started, this is a little bit of a sneak peek into a video coming out later this week. So if you guys are interested in watching how this got added to the city and a whole bunch of other projects that are going on, make sure to click subscribe and turn that bell notification on so you don't miss when those videos come out. All right, so for those of you that missed it, I did a Q&A probably about a month ago at this point for the 1,000 subscriber special. So if you have not seen that yet, I will put that in the top right corner of the screen for you. I think this is the top right corner of the screen. If it's not, pretty sure it's that side though. But yeah, so definitely check that out if you haven't seen that yet. And you guys left a bunch of comments on one of my videos from last week, so let's start answering them. Okay, so for the first couple of questions, these are from a few of my channel members. So first of all, huge thank you to you guys. That really means the world to me that you guys are really supporting the channel like that. It is not required to be a channel member in order to access all of the content that I'm giving you guys, but it does tremendously help the channel, and 100% of the money that I make from those channel memberships goes directly into this. So you guys would be directly supporting the channel in that way, which is really awesome to see. And so thank you to all of the channel members, and also for all of you guys for liking and commenting and subscribing and all of that stuff. And if you were considering getting a membership, the link is in the description, or you can click the little join button next to the channel name. But the first question is, what software do you use to edit these videos, and what kind of camera do you use? I'm actually going to answer the second question first. The kind of camera that I use is my phone. I have an iPhone 16, and so what it is right now is just on a tripod, and most of the time it's just handheld in my phone, and that's literally it. I just use the native camera app that comes with the phone, and I just airdrop the files to my computer, and then I use Premiere Pro to edit the clips together, and then I upload it to YouTube. That's literally it. There's nothing fancy about it. There's no specialty to it. It's literally just point and shoot, and then you put it in the computer and you edit it and you upload it. So that's literally it. It's very basic. It's great because I can just pull my phone out of my pocket whenever. I don't need this big camera setup. The only thing that I'm not a fan of is whenever I take a video of just a complete blue screen. Like back when I was working on the mountain and I had the blue or the dark azure 8x8 plates in there, and also the 1x2 tiles for the water in the lake over there, that tended to make the image look really red. I don't know what kind of settings the iPhone camera has that makes it do that. So that's just about the only downside that I've seen so far. Other than that, it's been nothing but great. So if you guys were interested in starting your own channels or doing your own videos, using your phone is a great way to do it. You don't need this big expensive camera with detachable lenses and a fancy microphone and all that stuff. The microphone that I use is built into the phone. I don't have a external one, so that's literally it. And then the second question I also answered already, which was how do I edit the videos? That's in Premiere Pro. That is pretty much it. You know, it's pretty simple. I have the full Adobe suite, so I also edit the thumbnails in Photoshop and all that kind of stuff. So it's really nice to just have everything in one software, I guess, or one company. So it just makes everything a lot easier. The next question from one of the members is, will there be an airport in your city at some point, a space launch area, or any other space areas? In this layout, no. Unfortunately, you know, I could tear this whole thing down and make half of a runway for an airport, and then that would literally be it. This is a pretty big table, but it is not at all big enough to have an airport or like a space launch area, because in order to make it quote unquote realistic, you would need a lot of real estate to dedicate to that. And unfortunately, I just don't have that kind of space. But if I ever do expand the city, that would be something that I would heavily consider. I am expanding the city. The video has not happened yet because I'm trying to find a like tablecloth or like table skirt or curtain or something to put here, just so you don't see all of the sealed sets and the empty boxes and the bins and all that stuff that I have underneath the tables. Because when I take a video, I want the focus to be on the city. I don't want you guys to have to look at a bunch of sets that are in bins or sealed or, you know, what have you. So I am actually in the process of sorting all of those away. So that is good stuff to see. But yeah, to answer the question, for now, there will end in this layout. There will not be an airport or any space-related stuff, but in the future, if I do ever expand, that would be one of the first things on my list. All right, so the last question from one of the members is, are we going to see some Star Wars stuff soon? And yes, I'm currently working out the kinks on that. The Star Wars build series is planning to start soon. I don't want this to be like a sporadic series where I do one episode and then 6 weeks later I do a second episode, and then 8 weeks later I do a third, and then the next week I do a fourth, and then 10 weeks later I do a fifth. So I want to keep it consistent, and so I want to kind of get ahead on it. I want to be able to get all of the, not all of the pieces, but a lot of the groundwork finalized in my head and on paper. And then once I'm comfortable with all of that and where the diorama is going to go, then I would start doing consistent uploads with it, whether that's weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, or I haven't decided that yet. But the clone base and the Star Wars stuff is coming. It's just a matter of time. I am working on making Boosker's custom ATTEs, which I will put a picture on the screen somewhere for you. But that is the next thing on the list, and then after that, it will be just solely buying pieces for the clone base and that whole area of the room. So that's really exciting to see. And again, huge shout out to all of the members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. That really means a lot. All right, so the next question is, what do YouTubers inspire me, and where's the rest of my collection? So I'll answer the second question first. A lot of my collection is here, but I also do have a bunch of other sets like the UCS Razor Crest and the Ferris wheel, and I will be putting some pictures on the screen for you just so you guys can get an image of that. I have the Galaxy Explorer and a couple other smaller Star Wars sets, some classic Indiana Jones sets, and a lot of those are in my room. You know, I have a small space to dedicate to those few sets. But a lot of them are down here, actually. Like I said, a number of them were in these smaller bins that I had shown in a previous video. And those sets just live in bins, unfortunately, because I don't have the space to display them. But one day soon, I am planning to build a couple more shelves in this room, actually. So hopefully, in the near future, you guys will be able to see at least some of those sets on display. But as for YouTubers that inspire me, I've been watching, as of recently, JANGBRiCKS, BrickCrafts, Bricksie, Solid Brick Studios, and that's pretty much it, to be honest with you. I don't watch a whole lot of other people's builds. I try and, you know, whatever's custom, I try to get that from my head. I don't want to look at other people's because then I feel like I'm kind of stealing it from them. I will link all of their channels and stuff down in the description below because I do think that they all do amazing content and I think you should really check them out. And one honorable mention is 1x1Brick. He's currently in the process of building a castle mock and this whole diorama associated with it. So definitely check that out. I will put that video in the top right, his most recent video about that, because it's great, and his channel will be in the description with the others. He makes great stuff, and so I highly recommend you check his content out too. So the next question is, what is your long-term plans for the city? And my long-term plan for the city is to honestly just continue what I'm doing right now. Like I've mentioned a few times, and also earlier in this video, there is going to be an expansion table where I'm sitting that's going to have the Ferris wheel on it, I think. I haven't laid out the logistics of that yet, but I want the Ferris wheel on it. It's going to have an ocean, and it's going to sit lower than this table here, so it will actually look kind of realistic. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Actually, the only other thing that's going to be on this expansion table is going to be a siding for the train station, just so I can have just so this platform here makes sense. Other than that, it's just to finish the mountain and also move the road that I had talked about last week. A lot of you guys had said that it would be a lot of work, but it is worth it to move the road. So I read all of those comments and thank you. I will be doing that in the near future, so definitely stay tuned for that. And yeah, that is next on my to-do list actually, is to start working on that. That's the only real change to the layout that I'm actually considering. Everything else I'm pretty happy with as it stands right now. Obviously, I would like to make the farm area bigger. I would like to have more space for buildings. I would like to have more space for trains, but this is the space that I have dedicated to this layout, and so that is the space that I'm using. And I think this, as it is right now, is a pretty healthy balance between buildings and greenery and trains. And so I personally think that this is the best case scenario. So the next question is, do you have any tips on how to convert modular buildings already on standard base plates over to mills plates? The person is looking for an easier way to make that change without taking too much apart. Honestly, a lot of these buildings on the first floor, they have a whole bunch of tiles that are connected to the base plate. So you're gonna have to do some work anyways, whether that's with the sidewalk or with the details inside. So there's a lot of work to be done there. But honestly, if you take the second and third floors off, you can kind of just rip the base plate off. You can kind of bend it a little bit, and it's a flexible enough plastic that it's not going to ruin it if you slowly, gently bend the plastic away, or the base plate away from the rest of the bricks on the first floor. So that's the way that I've found to do it. But again, it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to get all of the bricks off in one shot. You're going to have to do a little bit of work with that, but that's just my idea. For all of my buildings though, I use my custom foundations. I don't use a lot of mills plates yet, simply because I don't have the parts to do that. And I have a lot of random shaped and sized plates. So that is why I've been doing it like this. One day I would like to convert everything to mills, just so everything is more structurally sound and more rigid, and it's a lot easier to move stuff. But as it is right now, I think this is the way to go, just because I have all the pieces already to make the custom foundations and I don't need to spend extra money where it's not necessary. All right, so the next question is, what is something you'd like to add to the city but you know you can't? That's a really good question, actually. I haven't really thought about that before. If I had to say something, I would probably say a second train loop. I think that would be really awesome to have two trains going around, both a passenger train and a freight train. Unfortunately, I don't have the space to do that here unless I want to sacrifice a lot of real estate for other buildings and things. And so I just don't think that that's worth it in the space that this city currently takes up. But again, if I ever did expand the layout, the first thing that I would be adding is a second train loop, and then probably more space to the farm. That would be a great thing to make an actually large scale wheat field. I think that would be really cool. A larger lake and a larger bridge would be awesome as well. And then I would love to add like a barn and like a real horse stable instead of like a little pen for like animals and stuff. That would be pretty cool. And then also the airport and the space areas, like the space shuttle launch, that would be really cool to add. But again, I don't have the space for that currently, so it's kind of just making do with what I've got. But one day that would be really cool to add, would be a second train loop to have the two trains going around. I'd love to have a third, but then that's starting to get a little ridiculous. I'll leave that to all of the lug members at the conventions and stuff that have the massive custom trains and the huge train layouts. All right, so the next question is about the YouTubers that I watch again. Again, all of those will be in the description down below for you guys to check out if you have not heard of them already. And then the other question from this person is, can you make a video about your custom Lego store? And I did make a video kind of upgrading it. I didn't do a dedicated video about it. So I will put that upgrading video in the top right corner of the screen for you. But if that is something that you're interested in, a full review video about it, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. I would be very interested to see what you guys think about that, actually, if you want a dedicated video about it. In that case, if that is what you guys want, I would probably redo the roof and then make it like a full review, I guess, of it, like I did with my pizza shop and townhouse. So if that is something you're interested in, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. But the next question is, do you have a dog? No. I have a Lego dog in here. I have a number of Lego dogs in here somewhere, but I do not have a real dog walking around the house. Can you give tips on how to start a city? Sure. So the easiest thing that I found is to actually start it on graph paper. I don't have the actual plan that I had made for this city here on me right now, but I did make it out of, I did draw it on graph paper, and I went through like 8 or 10 iterations because I knew that from that wall all the way to that wall is 11 feet, and then from the edge of the table right now, which is in line with the entrance to the room, all the way to that back wall was about, I think it was 9 feet. And so I knew, like, I measured out how much space I would need to walk around the table, and then I multiplied that by 2 because you need one for that side, one for that side. And then I pretty much just gave myself 9 feet from the edge of that table, or the edge of, that edge of the table all the way to that end. And then I pretty much said, okay, what do I want? Like, what's on my priority list? A train loop was a big priority for me. Having space for modular buildings was really important for me. And I kind of just went from there. And then once I actually start putting stuff down, don't feel pressured to keep it how you thought it was originally going to go. Like, I thought the museum was going to be all the way in the back, and I ended up saying, you know what, I like it so much, I want to see it when I walk into the room. I don't want it to get drowned out by all the other buildings. So let me bring it to the front, let me add some green space in front of it, let me make it look like how it deserves to look. It's a big grand building, and I want to show that off. And yeah, that's probably it. The modulars are obviously a great way to go for building cities, but they are extremely expensive. The museum is $300. The police station was $200. The Palace Cinema was, I think it was $150, 10, 12 years ago. But or I think 11 years ago, because I think it came out in 2013. But the aftermarket prices on these are insane. So don't buy them. If you're gonna buy retired ones, just part them together on your own. Don't buy them sealed. To me, that's a waste of money, because you could spend $800 on the brick bank, or you could part it together on your own and then have the other $500 to spend on another building or roads or trains or what have you. The Creator 3-in-1 sets are also a really great way to go. Those, I don't think I have any in this layout here, but I used to use those all the time for making smaller buildings, whether that was little townhouses or like pizza shops, or you can see the inspiration there. But it kind of just grow with it over time, and then as you get a larger Lego collection, you can start adding more pieces to it, and it's this kind of cycle. And so that's kind of where my tips are, at least. If any of you guys have any other tips that you feel would be great to share, drop a comment down below for the other people that are looking to start cities. But the third question from this person is, do you buy bricks from BrickLink or Pick-a-Brick? It's actually both. Had you asked me like 2 weeks ago, I would have said mostly just Pick-a-Brick. Pick-a-Brick, for those of you that don't know, is Lego's own in-house service where you can buy individual pieces. And they have 2 different categories of pieces. One of them is best sellers, which comes, if you live in the North America region, it comes straight from America, and it takes 5 business days to ship. And then the second category is just the standard pieces, which ship straight from Denmark. And so those take about 30 to 40 business days to ship, which is a really long time. But a lot of the pieces that they have are comparable in price to BrickLink, and sometimes it's even cheaper, and you know what you're getting. You know that you're getting new pieces, you're not getting scammed. So that's a great thing. And you also don't have to pay for shipping. If you spend more than $14 in either of the 2 categories, you waive the service fee for that respective category, which is great. And especially when you're building stuff like this, at least for me, it is not hard to hit that $14 threshold. So every time I place an order, the service fee gets waived. But the BrickLink side of it, I don't buy a whole lot from BrickLink. The only time I buy from them is when I know I can't get pieces directly from Lego, because the pieces are retired or the color is rare, or whatever the case might be. And so I did actually place a BrickLink order just the other day, and it came in already, and I made a video about it. The video is not out yet, but it is coming out, I believe, on Thursday. So definitely click subscribe so you don't miss when that video drops. But that is pretty much it for Bricklink and Bricks and Pieces. I personally prefer Bricks and Pieces, but some people prefer Bricklink. It's a give and a take. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I try to just use new Lego in here. The only exceptions being, again, like the really, really rare stuff that is discontinued from Lego's inventory and you have to get it used from Bricklink. So that's the only thing. And also Bricklink has a couple scammers on there, I'm sure. And so I try to avoid it when I can. But if you do shop on Bricklink, just make sure that the person has a lot of high ratings and a lot of past orders, so you know that they're actually a legitimate business. All right, so one of the other questions is, how do you film your city? Like I said earlier, I film it on my phone, and this person says, I try to use my phone, but there's always shaking. That's just, I also have shaky hands, so I don't know if that comes across on the camera, to be totally honest with you. I try to have 2 or 3 points of contact with the phone and also with the ground or like the table or something. So if I'm filming something low, I will try and, you know, put my elbow on the table just to get a little bit of extra stability. But for the most part, it is just with my hands. I don't know if you could tell that I just film it like this and I kind of go around. So it is probably a little bit shaky, but I do hope that you guys don't mind that, just so I can accurately show you guys all the content. Because if I just left the phone on the tripod and I tried to zoom in all the way to the mountain, you would not see any of the details that I had put into it, and I put a lot of time and effort into it, and I want to show you guys that. So that is why I do the handheld stuff. But maybe one day, if I ever had a bigger studio space, I'll call it, and, you know, a bigger city, maybe I would dedicate or get like a dedicated camera. That would be pretty cool, but that is not in the cards for the short term. And then the last 2 questions are from this one person here that asks, what tables do you use to hold up your city? Okay, so actually these tables that I built are out of medium density fiberboard, as well as IKEA legs right underneath here. As you guys can see, these are the same legs, the same style of legs that I used on the studio tables. And the legs on this main table here are non-adjustable, whereas the ones on the studio table and also the expansion table are going to be adjustable legs. So then I can make that one at a lower height and I can make it more realistic and have an ocean on that and all that stuff. And so, but yeah, this is not plywood. The MDF panel was significantly cheaper than plywood. So, and it was also thicker too, which was really nice. And then in the middle is a 12-inch wide piece of plywood. So it is 2 technically different materials. It's particle board and plywood in the middle, but that plywood piece was 2 feet by 4 feet, and then I cut it in half, so it's now 12 inches by 4 feet, and then so 1 foot by 4 foot, and then I just put them long ways next to each other, so now it's 12 inches by 8 feet. I also use IKEA legs. These are the regular non-adjustable legs, and then I also bought a set of adjustable legs for not only my build table, but also for the expansion table, so I can lower that down, and then I can have everything else at a different height, which I think would add a lot of visual interest to it. And the last question is, what software do you use to make Lego designs in? I use Lego Studio. I will put the link to that in the description down below. But I really like it because it has a catalog of every single piece that's ever been made, and you can pull stuff in and you can design stuff, or you can just kind of tinker with stuff. And so I also try to tinker with stuff in the real, you know, physical world, but I don't get the chance to do that super often. So whenever I'm on my computer and I'm trying to design something, I usually just end up using Lego Studio. That's been the way to go for me personally. I designed the townhouse over here actually in Lego Studio, and I think it actually turned out better because I got to visualize everything before I committed to buying pieces, which was really nice, so that I knew what I wanted, I knew what I was buying, and then that was it. I didn't have to waste my time with buying pieces, seeing if they worked or not, and then kind of going back and forth with that cycle. So I got everything right on the first try of buying pieces, and then that was pretty much that. But on that note, that is going to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video and you like this style of Q&A, make sure to like the video and subscribe, as well as click the bell notification so you don't miss any future uploads. If you guys have any other questions for the next Q&A, I'm going to make this probably about a monthly thing. So if you guys have any questions for that next Q&A, drop a comment in this video down below and I will be sure to answer your question in the next Q&A. But once again, thank you guys for watching and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.